I thought it was just a family vacation, but instead of tan lines, I came back with proof my wife was cheating. With my own brother. They weren't just having an affair. They were plotting to take everything, my house, my money, even my daughter. But here's what they didn't see coming. I stayed quiet, I watched, and then I struck. This isn't the story of a broken man. It's the story of someone who was betrayed, and came back colder, smarter, stronger. And if you're wondering how something like that could happen, how everything could fall apart while looking picture perfect, let me start at the beginning. You know that feeling you get when life seems perfectly aligned, even if just for a moment? Like standing at the edge of the ocean, where everything, your marriage, your family, your future, shimmers like a promise in the sun. That was me. That was us. Or at least, that's what I believed. We were down in Destin for a family trip. My younger brother, Caleb, had tagged along, against my better judgment, to be honest. But my wife insisted. "It'll be fun," she said, looping her arm through mine with that grin that once could stop time. And my daughter? She was ecstatic. Uncle Caleb always arrived with equal parts candy and chaos. So, I gave in. Ashley, my wife, was glowing those first few days. Early morning walks along the beach, sundresses that made me forget to blink, laughing at my dad's recycled puns like they were brand new. And for a moment, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this trip was the reset we needed. Heaven knows, we were due for one. But hindsight is ruthless. It started with small things. Ashley was glued to her phone, smiling at texts she never shared. She'd sneak off 4 errands that lasted too long to be about sunscreen and drinks. She began skipping meals, claiming she wasn't hungry, only for me to find snack wrappers in the trash around midnight. And Caleb? He started acting like a teen drama character, tight shirts, a new cologne I'd never seen before, and smug, sideways glances every time Ashley entered the room. Still, I told myself it was nothing. Vacation makes people loosen up, right? Then came the bonfire night. We were all there, my parents, Ashley, me, Caleb, and a cooler full of light beer. My daughter had already passed out from chasing seagulls all day. Ashley had that flush cheek glow from 2 glasses of rose. Caleb was quiet at first, then turned on the charm like he was auditioning for a sitcom. Everyone laughed. Especially Ashley. Like he was the funniest man alive. Then it happened. I stepped away to grab another drink. When I came back, Ashley and Caleb were gone. The fire still crackled. Conversation carried on. But something in me locked up. I told myself she went for a sweater. Maybe he stepped away to make a call. But the thought clung to me like damp clothes. 15 minutes passed. I stood up. "Be right back," I mumbled. I found them behind the dunes. Whispering. Standing too close. Her hand brushed his arm, that same signal she used to give me when she wanted to leave a party or draw my focus. And Caleb, he leaned in, too close for it to be innocent. She didn't pull away. Didn't even flinch. They didn't notice me at first. I walked right past them. No eye contact. Just kept walking. My heart wasn't racing, it was eerily silent. That quiet scared me more than if it had been pounding. Back at the fire, I smiled. Laughed at a joke I didn't hear. Handed my dad a beer. But inside, something had been lit. A slow fuse. The next morning, Ashley was all sunshine and casual affection. She kissed my cheek. Asked if I wanted to go kayaking. I declined. Watched her paddle off, with Caleb. His laughter echoed across the water like a challenge. That was the moment I knew. She wasn't drifting. She was already gone. And he, my own brother, was the one holding the door open for her on the way out. But I didn't confront them. Not yet. I wasn't going to burn the house down without proof. I chose patience. I smiled. Took pictures. Chatted over barbecue. Helped Caleb flip burgers like we were still kids, not adversaries playing pretend. Because if they were going to treat me like a fool, I'd show them how sharp a fool's instincts could be. They say when you look at something long enough, you stop seeing what it is and start seeing what it's pretending to be. That was Ashley. I had convinced myself for so long that we were just going through a rough patch, that I didn't realize, we were already over. She just hadn't said it out loud. After that kayaking day, her routine shifted. She was suddenly busy. Evening walks alone. Sunrise jogs that didn't include me. Quick trips to the condo for forgotten sunglasses or water bottles. And somehow, Caleb always vanished around the same time. I stayed quiet. But I kept watching. One evening, our daughter had a mild sunburn. Ashley offered to stay in and read. I told her I could stay too, she insisted otherwise. You and your brother should hang out, she said. It's been too long. Funny thing, I hadn't mentioned going anywhere. Caleb was already dressed when I walked outside. New shirt. Fresh sneakers. Hair styled like he was heading to prom, not grabbing a beer with his brother. You ready? He asked, with that smirk that suddenly felt foreign. We ended up at a local dive near the boardwalk. Loud music, dancing, laughter. I sat nursing a beer, watching him flirt with the bartender like nothing back at the condo mattered. I asked him straight up, you seeing anyone? He shrugged. Yeah. Sorta. Complicated. That word landed like a weight in my gut. Back at the condo, Ashley was asleep. But her book lay open to the same page as that morning. Her wine glass sat on the table, lipstick smudge and all. Her phone was charging. I checked mine. One unread message. Unknown number. Tonight? Followed by a thumbs up emoji. I didn't recognize the number, but something about the wording, the timing, punched me in the chest. I used a reverse lookup app. It was a burner. No name. No trace. Classic. But I knew. So I began leaving breadcrumbs of my own. The next day, I pretended to twist my ankle while jogging. Ashley barely reacted. Said she'd run errands for sunscreen. Caleb left shortly after, claiming he needed lunch. I followed. I stayed far enough not to be seen, but close enough to track. Caleb's car pulled into a small boutique motel 15 minutes inland. 10 minutes later, Ashley's SUV arrived. She parked 2 spots over. I didn't confront them. I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I took photos. Clear ones. Date and time stamped. Filed like evidence in a trial they didn't know was coming. Then I left. I sat alone on the condo patio, staring out at the water, and that's when it all clicked. This wasn't a fling. This was strategic. The sneakiness, the timing, the consistency, it was all too rehearsed. Caleb's complicated wasn't about feelings. It was about logistics. Planning. Something bigger. So I dug deeper. Ashley and I had always been open about money. Or so I thought. But our joint accounts told a different story. 3 recent withdrawals, each for the same amount, spaced out just enough to avoid suspicion. Not enough to raise a bank alarm, but enough to build a life somewhere else. I kept going. Emails. Calendar entries. One stood out, a meeting with a real estate agent in her hometown. It was labeled personal. No CC to me. No prior discussion. Just a quiet entry in a calendar she assumed I'd never check. This wasn't just betrayal. It was an ambush. They weren't just breaking vows, they were planning an extraction. Of assets. Of custody. Of everything I thought we built together. My brother. The one who used to cry when I stopped talking to him as kids. The one who shared bunk beds with me. That same brother was now standing beside my wife, helping her lay the groundwork to gut me from the inside out. I should have broken down right then. But I didn't. I smiled. Because the moment you see your enemies clearly is the moment the power shifts. They thought I was soft. That I'd roll over. That I'd keep playing house while they redrew the blueprints behind my back. But they underestimated me. The following days were a masterclass in pretending. I cracked jokes. Made pancakes. Played with my daughter in the surf while Ashley took staged Instagram photos. I could have blown it all up right then, but I didn't. Because the best revenge doesn't come in anger. It comes with precision. That evening, I lost my wallet. Spent 2 hours looking for it, just long enough for Ashley and Caleb to make another of their covert outings. While they were gone, I installed a small camera in the living room. Hidden, angled perfectly. They returned giggling. Ashley flopped on the couch, her legs across Caleb's lap. He kissed her knee. I captured it all. That night, I uploaded the footage to a private folder. Combined it with the photos, the texts, the bank records. I added it to a document with labels, timestamps, commentary. Like a prosecutor prepping for trial. And I waited. Because there was one more piece I hadn't dealt with. My daughter. She was too young to understand, but I wasn't about to let them wreck her world without preparing her. So the next morning, I took her for ice cream. Just us. We sat at a wobbly picnic table, the Florida sun hanging heavy overhead. I told her, gently, that sometimes adults make mistakes. That they don't always tell the truth. But no matter what, I would always be there for her. She looked up, clutching her cone like it was a shield. Are you and Mommy not going to be friends anymore? That shattered me more than anything else. I nodded slowly. Yeah, baby. We might not be. She shrugged. Okay. I still want you at my birthday. I had to look away to keep it together. That night, I made the call. My lawyer picked up on the second ring. It's time, I said. You ever watch someone dig their own grave while smiling? That was Ashley. 2 days after I contacted the lawyer, the puzzle started coming together. The timelines, the documents, the plan. I wasn't just filing for divorce anymore, I was preparing a full reveal. Not out of bitterness. Out of self-respect. There's a difference. I made a dinner reservation at a quiet Italian place downtown. Low lights. Soft music. A wine list long enough to buy me time. I told Ashley I wanted to really talk. She lit up like I'd handed her a second chance. Wore a dress I hadn't seen in years. Dug out perfume she used to save for our anniversary. Sat across from me like nothing had changed. We ordered. We talked. She flirted. Laughed like the past few weeks hadn't happened. And I played along, until dessert. That's when I slid the folder across the table. She paused, fingers still resting on the stem of her wine glass. What's this? She asked. Evidence, I said. She opened it. Her face didn't move for the first few pages. Bank statements. Calendar entries. Photos. Then she hit the image of her and Caleb on the couch, her legs over his hand on her knee. Still no reaction. But then she found the draft of the trust agreement, the one where Caleb would inherit management of our joint estate if I were to step down. That's when her face changed. You went through my things, she asked, voice quiet. I leaned in. I built this life. You plotted to steal it. Let's not pretend you're the injured party. She tried to spin it. Said I was overreacting. That maybe if I hadn't been so distant lately. That's when I laughed. Loud. Full-bodied. Like she'd just told the cruelest joke imaginable. You cheated on me, I said calmly. With my brother. You orchestrated a financial setup behind my back. And now you want to talk about feelings? Her eyes darted around the restaurant. She hissed, "You're making a scene." I smiled. Not yet. But we could get there. She pushed the folder away like it was hot. What do you want? She asked, color drained from her face. Everything you tried to take. And a little extra for the insult. I stood up, paid the bill, and walked out, leaving her with cold tiramisu and hotter shame. Back at the condo, Caleb acted like nothing had happened. Tossed me a beer like we were back in college. You talked to her? He asked, with that same smirk. I took the beer. Set it down gently. You ever wonder what it'd feel like to wake up missing your teeth? I asked, softly. He froze. I'm not threatening you, I added. I'm just saying, some people snap. Some people don't. You rolled dice without knowing the table. He swallowed. Smirk gone. Then I stepped back. Smiled. Don't worry, I said. I'm not going to touch you. That's not how this ends. And I walked away. Because sometimes silence hurts more than anything loud ever could. The next few days passed in slow motion. The kind of slow where every sound feels too loud, and even the silence has an edge. Ashley didn't come home that night. Neither did Caleb. Which, in a way, made things simpler. I stayed in the condo alone, surrounded by the echoes of what I thought my life was. You'd expect a breakdown, maybe a bottle, maybe yelling at the walls, but what I felt was stillness. A deep, unexpected quiet. Like the part of me that kept hoping had finally gone dark. And what was left? He didn't beg. He made lists. My lawyer was stunned by how organized I was. Most people come in a mess, he said. You came in with a spreadsheet. I told him I'd had plenty of warning. That was my mistake, ignoring the signs. I wasn't about to make that mistake again. Ashley started texting. At first, soft pleas. We don't have to become enemies. I never meant to hurt you. Caleb's not who I thought he was. Can we just talk? No. We couldn't. I didn't block her. I let the messages come in, let her see the read receipts. Because nothing bruises a manipulator more than being heard, and ignored. But the real surprise didn't come from her. It came from Caleb. 2 weeks after that dinner, he showed up at my door. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Hoodie, gym shorts, hair a mess, eyes rimmed with guilt. I'm not here to fight, he said. I didn't invite him in. Just leaned against the doorframe and waited. She's not who I thought, he said. I didn't realize how deep it was until after. I nodded. Sure you did. You just didn't care. He winced. She told me you checked out. That you didn't care about her anymore. I smirked. After she checked out emotionally, started sneaking around, and started texting you from our bed? Yeah, I started checking out. Imagine that. He looked down. She tried to move in with me. I told her no. I raised an eyebrow. What happened to the fantasy? You, her, the white picket betrayal? He shook his head. It wasn't real. No, I said. But the damage is. Then I told him to leave. And he did. No fight. No excuses. Just a quiet walk back to whatever hole he'd crawled out of. Later that night, Ashley showed up. She didn't knock. Just stood on the porch like a memory I'd tried to forget. I lost everything, she said. I nodded. So did I. The difference is, I rebuilt. Her lip trembled. You're really not coming back from this, are you? No, I said. I already did. And I closed the door. Not to shut her out. But to keep myself safe. No one really tells you what betrayal leaves behind. They talk about heartbreak, maybe rage, but the truth? It's quieter than that. It's the silence that follows. The ghost pain. The way you reach for a memory and come back with nothing but dust. I spent those first few weeks trying to remember how to live alone. Not physically, emotionally. Waking up without her perfume clinging to the sheets. Coming home to silence that didn't lie. Realizing no one was going to ask how my day went. And, weirdly, being grateful for that. I bought a new mattress. Simple. Clean. One that didn't carry memories. Changed the dishes. Got rid of the couch. Gave away the coffee maker she used to swear made the best lattes. It wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. Reclaiming my space. Reclaiming myself. The questions started rolling in. Friends. Family. People who'd only seen the filtered beach photos, who didn't know the truth. Who thought I was the one who walked away from something perfect. I didn't explain. I didn't justify. I let the silence do its work. And slowly, the truth started leaking through the cracks. A mutual friend had screenshots. Another had seen Caleb spiraling in a bar downtown, venting to a stranger about being used and led on. Did that give me joy? Not really. Mostly, it made me sad. Sad for the man I used to be, the one who bent over backward trying to keep everyone happy. The one who thought love meant sacrifice, no matter how deep the cuts got. Then one night, I ran into someone from college, Trevor. We hadn't talked in years. We grabbed a drink, caught up. Eventually, he brought it up. "Hey, I saw Ashley a while back," he said carefully. I nodded. "Yeah, we're done." He raised his glass. "Good. You look better." I blinked. "I do." "Yeah, man. You used to look tired. Now you look lighter. And you know what? He was right. I started doing things again, not to distract myself, but to feel alive. I picked up guitar lessons. Signed up for a mentorship program on weekends. Took my daughter hiking. Just the two of us. At one point, she asked if we were going to move again. "Nope," I said. "This is home now." She smiled. "Good. I like you better here." I raised an eyebrow. "Better?" She shrugged. "You laugh more. And you don't smell like sadness." I laughed until I had to wipe my eyes. Leave it to a kid to summarize healing better than 1,000 therapy sessions. That night, I sat on the porch with a glass of good bourbon and looked up at the stars. And it hit me. I hadn't thought about Ashley, or Caleb, all day. Not once. And I smiled. Not the kind you put on for the world. The kind that sneaks up on you and whispers, "You're healing." Even if it still aches sometimes. They say time heals all wounds. Maybe. Or maybe it just gives you enough distance to see clearly. A few months passed. The air felt different, mine again. My space was mine. My thoughts weren't on guard anymore. And for the first time in years, my reflection didn't look like someone pretending to be okay. But there was still one loose end. Caleb. We hadn't spoken since that awkward doorstep apology. No texts. No calls. No closure. And while I didn't need a reunion, something about the way it ended felt unfinished. Not because I wanted revenge. I didn't. I wanted clarity. So I called him. He picked up after 2 rings. His voice was unsure, like he was bracing for impact. "Logan?" "Yeah. Don't get too excited, I'm not calling to patch things up." Pause. "What do you want?" I took a breath. "I want you to hear me. Not for me, for you. Because if you keep living the way you did with me, you're going to grow old surrounded by broken people and empty excuses. He didn't speak. So I continued. You weren't just my brother. You were my friend. You were at my wedding. You held my daughter when she was born. And you still looked me in the eye while tearing everything apart. I know, he said, voice low. I messed up. No, I said. Messing up is forgetting a birthday. You betrayed your own blood. You didn't cross a line, you set the whole thing on fire. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I laughed once. Bitter, not cruel. You don't accidentally sleep with your brother's wife and help her set up a financial trap. Silence. Why are you even calling me? He asked eventually. If you're over it. Because I don't want you near me or my daughter again, I said plainly. And I want you to understand why. So the next time you find yourself aiming at someone else's life, maybe you'll remember this. He sniffed. Maybe crying. Good. You broke something that doesn't repair with time or apologies. I'm not carrying that for you. I'm just letting you know where I left it, right at your feet. Then I hung up. Not in anger. In mercy. I didn't want him punished anymore. I wanted him gone. And when I ended that call, standing in my kitchen with sunlight pouring through the window, I knew something with full certainty. That was it. The last chain. Cut. That night, I slept harder than I had in years. It's strange how healing doesn't announce itself. There's no drum roll. No sunrise epiphany. One day, you just notice the weight you've been dragging isn't shackled to your ankle anymore, it's just lying behind you. And you get to choose whether to carry it again. I didn't. Fall rolled in. The air turned crisp. The leaves burned gold and rust, and mornings felt sharp in the best way. I found myself waking earlier. No alarms. No urgency. Just stillness. I started walking without music, letting my thoughts breathe. And in that silence, I learned something. Sometimes, clarity sounds like nothing. One morning, I stopped at the local bakery. I hadn't planned to. Just felt drawn in by the smell of bread and warmth. That's when I saw her. Not Ashley. Not anyone from my past. Just a woman. Sitting alone with a book and a cup of coffee. Hoodie up. Hair messy in a way that said she wasn't trying to impress anyone. She looked up. And smiled. Not a smirk. Not a flirt. Just, a real, unbothered smile. I nodded. Thought that would be it. But the next week, she was there again. This time, she asked if I liked the book I was holding. I admitted I wasn't reading it, I just carried it around so I had an excuse to sit alone. She laughed. Loud. Then apologized for the volume. I smiled. Don't. We talked. Maybe 5 minutes. No history. No stories. Just the moment. It was perfect. Not because it was love. But because it was nothing I had to repair. That night, I passed a mirror and stopped. Not because I liked what I saw. Because for the first time, I didn't see the man who was cheated on. Or the fool. Or the guy who kept trying to save something already gone. I just saw, me. And it hit me. Ashley didn't destroy me. She made space. She tore down a house I thought was home. And in the rubble, I built something new. Not flashier. Not bigger. Just mine. People still check in now and then. Old friends. Her relatives. Curious voices asking how I'm doing. The answer changes day to day. But it's always honest. Better. Quieter. Still standing. And sometimes, grateful. Not for what happened. But for who I became afterward. The past has a way of testing your peace. Just when you think it's behind you, it finds a way to whisper through the cracks. For me, it came almost exactly a year after everything fell apart. Ashley reached out again. It started with a voicemail. "Hey, Logan. I know it's been a long time. I shouldn't be calling, and I'm not expecting anything. I just wanted to say, I hope you're okay. That you found some peace. I didn't delete it. But I didn't call back either." Then, a week later, an email. No subject line. Just a few lines of text. "I know I lost the right to ask, but I've been thinking about everything. If you're willing to talk, even just once, I'd appreciate it. No expectations. Just, honesty. Honesty." That word, from her, would have been laughable once. Now, it just felt distant. I stared at the message for a long time. Not because I wanted to reply. But because I wasn't sure if I should. So I opened the folder. The digital graveyard. Screenshots. Bank records. Camera footage. A full-blown case file of the collapse of my marriage. I clicked through slowly. Waiting to feel something. Anger. Sadness. Nostalgia. Nothing. Just a quiet awareness that I wasn't that man anymore. The one who begged for love. The one who twisted himself into knots trying to earn loyalty that should have been free. I didn't need her apology. Or her explanation. I was the closure. So I wrote her back. Not for her. For me. "Ashley. I read your message. Thank you for the honesty, even if it came too late. I'm not angry. I'm not hurting. I'm just not interested in revisiting what's already behind me. I've moved on. I'm better. And I finally understand that healing doesn't need the person who caused the wound. I wish you well. But I don't wish to go back. Logan." I hit send. Then archived the folder. Didn't delete it. Didn't need to. It held no power anymore. Just data. Like keeping an old cast from a healed fracture, proof that I was once broken, and now I'm not. A few days after I sent that email, I got another message. Not from Ashley. From Caleb. Just 2 words. "I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Didn't even open it. Because some bridges don't burn in flames. They just slip beneath the surface. Quiet. Final. And you learn to stop trying to swim after them." I spent that evening with my daughter, watching an animated movie we'd both seen a dozen times. She laughed at all the same parts, leaned against me, and said, "I like movie night better with just us." I kissed the top of her head. "Me too, kiddo." Later that night, after she was asleep, I stood in the kitchen and looked out at the backyard. Nothing remarkable, just a swing set, a few lawn chairs, a porch light humming. But it felt like mine. It felt like peace. You don't realize how heavy survival is until you're no longer carrying it. And now. I wasn't carrying it. I was living again. Some nights, I still think about what happened. Not out of pain. More like curiosity. Like reading an old journal entry from a different life. A different man. That version of me needed to believe in second chances. Needed to hold on. Even as everything crumbled. But the man I am now. He's not afraid of endings. Because he knows what comes after. One morning, back at that same bakery, I saw her again. The woman with the messy hair and quiet smile. She was reading something heavy-looking, philosophy maybe. I nodded. She nodded back. I sat nearby. No pressure. No expectations. Eventually, she looked over. Still pretending to read, she asked. I grinned. This time, I brought a real book. We talked for 10 minutes. Then we didn't. Just sat there, two people comfortable in the quiet. And that's when I realized. Maybe healing isn't about moving on. Maybe it's about remembering who you were before the world convinced you to be someone else. And maybe that's enough.